Whether it's groceries, appliances, electronics, you name it, just about everything feels more expensive these days. And one reason is Chinese and other imports have fallen at a rate we haven't seen since before the pandemic. Why? Tariffs. Now, you can say the tariffs have come down, and that's true. Still, a lot of the goods that came in May were booked under the higher tariff rate. But there's a place in Mesa where importers from China and other countries are sort of sitting out this trade war and collecting their financial breath until things settle down. At first glance, it looks like any other warehouse. But the minute you step inside SKU Distribution in Mesa, you're no longer under the jurisdiction of America when it comes to tariffs. It's what's known as a foreign trade zone. Think of it as a harbor temporarily sheltering clients from the brutal effects of sky-high tariffs.
In this case, actually, what you're doing is that you're bringing your stuff in from overseas. It comes in bonded to this warehouse, and you defer those duties and taxes, which improves your cash flow. And then you don't pay for those duties and taxes until it actually leaves the zone.
Foreign trade zones, or FTZs, go all the way back to 1934, when America started allowing these zones to try to offset the sky-high tariffs that were caused by the Smoot-Hawley Act. And now, just over 90 years later, history is repeating itself. So when you heard about this trade war and this tariff face-off, what went through your mind?
I thought we were going to get pretty popular, actually.
Right now, SKU has a lot of Chinese batteries that came in with tariffs at 145%. But the Chinese won't have to pay that until the batteries leave the zone.
So I think what a lot of people miss is that for folks that are bringing their goods in from overseas, and a portion of their client base is going domestic, and there's another set of customers that are overseas. If it's going back out of the country, the tariffs never apply.
SKU makes money by storing goods just like any other warehouse. But because they're an FTZ, they can charge more by offering the client a tariff-free secured space to store their goods, giving them the ability to pay the tariffs on their terms. With the tariffs and trade wars, you get a call.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because a lot of the calls that we get, you can hear the desperation in some folks' voice because they're just, they weren't prepared for 145%, right? So they had no idea what they were going to do. And so it was a good solution for them to kind of like bring that stuff in, defer that big tariff until they kind of figured out whether we're going to bill it back to the consumer, kind of eat some of those goods. Either way, it improved cash flow, which is the main benefit for it.
And all the while, U.S. Customs and Border Protection is the federal agency keeping a close eye on this independent island of commerce in East Mesa.
So the software that we use here, when it enters the zone, that is directly connected to them. And so anything that we see that may be nefarious or whatever, we're contacting them, saying, hey, you might want to come inspect this. But there's a form that gets filled out, it's called a 214, which is the admittance into the zone. So they get a copy of that, they know exactly what's coming in, what the quantity is. Our job here is to verify that that data is correct, that yes, that's in fact what came in, we do have that amount, and it's here.
And Arizona happens to be America's leader when it comes to foreign trade zones. Companies like TSMC and Intel are so big, they have their own foreign trade zones internally. But for smaller and mid-sized companies, it's a game of musical chairs, with companies desperately seeking a chair before the music stops. You're saying business is going to be good for a while.
Yeah, I think so. The truth is, the Chinese tariffs is never going down to zero, ever again. So I think that everyone probably needs to get used to that.
Now, aside from being a foreign trade zone, SKU also offers third-party logistics, meaning warehousing, transportation, and order fulfillment for its customers. And sometimes, especially when it comes to shipping, these smaller companies can save some money by hiring a third-party logistics company.
Yeah, maybe you said it in the story, but if they bring stuff in at that 145% tariff.
And it goes down?
I was going to say, yeah, exactly.
It's still 145, but they can decide when they are in a financial position to pay that 145%.
Oh.
So they could conceivably leave it there for years.
Oh,
and then they've made enough money, it doesn't impact the supply chain. So that's the advantage, is companies can maintain their financial status.
Interesting. That's cool that that's here in the Valley.
And that Arizona is the leader when it comes to foreign trade zones.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, thanks, Mark.